In life, not every hand that reaches out to you is extended with love. Some carry intentions hidden beneath smiles and kind words. This is why discernment is essential. Discernment is the inner ability to see what the surface does not reveal. It is like polishing a mirror within yourself until you can see clearly through the fog of pretense. Without it, you become vulnerable to manipulation, drained by those who feed off your energy. With it, you learn to observe without judgment, but with awareness. You begin to notice patterns. The friend who only calls when they need something, the one who disappears when you need help, or the one who speaks well in front of you but sows doubt behind your back. Protecting your spirit begins with recognizing these signs and refusing to give away your peace to those who do not walk in truth. Discernment is not about becoming suspicious of everyone, nor about closing your heart in fear. It is about learning to feel what words cannot say. Fake friends may tell you what you want to hear, but their actions reveal the truth. They may clap for you in public, but secretly compete in their hearts. If you do not develop discernment, you may mistake applause for support, when in reality it is only noise. Protecting your spirit requires you to look beyond words and appearances into consistency and integrity. A genuine friend's presence feels light and supportive. A fake friend's presence feels heavy and draining. When you practice discernment, you begin to sense this difference quickly. You stop trying to convince yourself that falsehood is truth, and in doing so, you preserve your energy. The clarity of discernment is a shield that prevents the poison of pretense from entering your soul. Many people fail to protect themselves because they do not trust their intuition. They notice red flags but choose to ignore them out of hope, attachment, or fear of losing someone. But ignoring your inner voice is the fastest way to suffer. Discernment teaches you to trust that quiet whisper within, the feeling that something is not as it seems. Fake friends often reveal themselves in small ways, in their envy when you succeed, in their silence when you struggle, in their absence when you need them most. But if you close your eyes to these truths, you allow harm to repeat itself. Protecting your spirit means believing in your own perception, even if others try to deny it. It means respecting your intuition enough to act upon it. A discerning heart does not cling to illusions, it chooses truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable or inconvenient. Discernment also requires patience. Fake friends cannot hide their nature forever. Sooner or later, their true intentions surface, often in moments of stress, conflict, or change. When life tests you, the masks fall away and you see who truly stands with you. In these moments, a discerning person does not feel betrayed. They feel enlightened. They understand that falsehood cannot endure forever, and truth eventually reveals itself. Protecting your spirit does not mean rushing to cut people off at the first sign of imperfection. Rather, it means watching closely, listening deeply, and allowing time to show you who people really are. Patience allows you to avoid rash judgments and instead make wise decisions. Through discernment, you no longer fight blindly with shadows. You let time and truth expose what words try to conceal, and in doing so, you guard your peace without unnecessary conflict. When you lack discernment, you give your heart to the wrong people, and the pain that follows can make you bitter. But bitterness is also a form of poison, slowly eating away at your spirit. Discernment prevents this cycle by teaching you that not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some are lessons, not lifelong companions. By seeing this clearly, you do not waste energy on disappointment. You accept that just as seasons change, people also come and go. Protecting your spirit means letting go with grace, rather than clinging with desperation. When you discern the difference between a true friend and a false one, you stop pouring love into empty vessels. Instead, you invest in relationships that nourish your soul. This wisdom keeps your heart light, your spirit strong, and your path uncluttered by unnecessary weight. Discernment is not only about others, it is also about yourself. Sometimes we attract fake friends because of our own unresolved needs, our desire for approval, fear of loneliness, or craving for validation. Fake friends sense this and take advantage. Protecting your spirit requires turning inward and asking, why do I tolerate dishonesty? Why do I allow falsehood to stay close to me? The answers reveal where your growth is needed. Discernment begins with self-awareness. When you heal your own insecurities, you no longer settle for empty friendships. You begin to see that your value is not dependent on how many people surround you, but on the quality of those who walk beside you. With self-discernment, you not only protect yourself from false friends, you also elevate the standard of who you allow into your life. True discernment is calm, not harsh. It does not condemn, but it recognizes. When you see through a fake friend, you do not need to fight or argue. Silence becomes your answer, and distance becomes your shield. Protecting your spirit does not require announcing your decisions. It requires living in alignment with them. You step back, you let go, and you focus on what truly matters. The wise do not waste energy proving others wrong. They simply withdraw and conserve their strength. In this way, discernment brings peace. It transforms the pain of betrayal into the gift of clarity. Every false friend exposed is not a loss. It is a revelation that brings you closer to truth. With each revelation, your spirit grows more resilient, and your path becomes clearer. Discernment also cultivates compassion. When you see someone pretending, you realize they are trapped in their own illusions. They wear masks because they fear their true self is not enough. This does not excuse their behavior, but it helps you release anger. Protecting your spirit does not mean hardening your heart. It means staying soft yet strong. You wish no harm to the fake friend, but you refuse to let them harm you. Compassion allows you to walk away without carrying hatred. You understand that their deception is their burden, not yours. Discernment shows you that protecting your spirit is not about fighting the false. It is about embracing the true. And when you choose compassion, you free yourself from bitterness, ensuring that your spirit remains untouchable even in the face of betrayal. To cultivate discernment, you must practice observation. Listen more, speak less. Watch how people behave when there is nothing to gain. Notice how they act when the spotlight is not on them. True character reveals itself in ordinary moments, not just grand gestures. Fake friends may disguise themselves in words, but their energy never lies. Protecting your spirit means training yourself to see with more than just your eyes. Pay attention to tone, consistency, and patterns. Trust that actions always speak louder than appearances. Discernment grows stronger with practice. The more you observe, the less you are fooled. The less you are fooled, the more peaceful your life becomes. In this way, discernment becomes both shield and sword, a shield that guards your heart and a sword that cuts through illusion. In the end, discernment is the art of valuing your own spirit enough to guard it. Not everyone deserves access to your heart, your time, or your energy. Protecting your spirit requires courage, because sometimes it means walking alone. But solitude with truth is far better than companionship with lies. Discernment does not isolate you, it frees you. It clears away the noise so that you can walk with those who are real. The world is full of masks, but it is also full of genuine souls. When you cultivate discernment, you will no longer waste time on the false, and you will recognize the true when it appears. Protecting your spirit is not a one-time act, it is a lifelong practice. And the more you live with discernment, the more your spirit shines, unshaken, untouchable, and free. In life, not every bond is meant to be kept close. Some connections uplift, while others drain. True wisdom lies in knowing when closeness serves your growth and when distance preserves your peace. Many people believe that walking away is weakness, but in truth, it is strength. It takes courage to recognize that not every person deserves access to your heart. Distance is not about hatred, anger, or pride. It is about clarity. When you step back, You give yourself the space to see situations without illusion. You see patterns more clearly, intentions more accurately, and your own feelings with more honesty. Just as a painter steps away from the canvas to see the full picture, so must you step back from certain people to see their role in your life. Distance is not always loss. Sometimes it is the very wisdom that protects your spirit. Distance is not a punishment for others, it is protection for yourself. Fake friends, toxic environments, or draining relationships often thrive when you allow them constant access. They feed on your energy because you remain available to them without boundaries. But when you create distance, you interrupt that cycle. You reclaim your energy, time, and peace. It is not necessary to announce this distance with anger or explanation. Quiet withdrawal often speaks more powerfully than words. Wisdom understands that not every battle needs to be fought and not every person needs to be confronted. Sometimes, the most powerful response is simply to remove yourself. When you step back, you send a clear message, not of hatred, but of self-respect. This act of distance shows that you value your peace more than the approval of those who do not walk in truth. Closeness is not always a sign of loyalty. Some people stay near not out of love, but out of convenience. They enjoy the benefits of your presence while offering little in return. If you never create distance, you may never recognize this imbalance. Distance reveals who values you genuinely. Those who care will respect your space, and their presence will not fade simply because you step away for a while. But those who are only attached to what they can take from you will disappear when the distance is set. This is why distance is wisdom. It acts as a filter, separating the true from the false without unnecessary conflict. By stepping back, you do not lose real friends, you lose illusions. And in losing illusions, you gain clarity. Protecting your spirit sometimes requires nothing more than giving yourself the freedom to breathe away from those who drain you. Distance also nurtures perspective. When you are too close to a situation, your emotions can blind you. Anger, attachment, or guilt may cloud your judgment, making it difficult to see clearly. Stepping away allows your mind and heart to settle, much like muddy water clears when left undisturbed. In this stillness, wisdom arises. You begin to see what truly matters and what does not. You realize that some arguments are not worth your energy, some relationships are not worth your sacrifice, and some paths are not worth your time. Without distance, these truths remain hidden. Distance is therefore not only a shield but also a teacher. It shows you where to invest your heart and where to let go. Just as silence reveals truths that noise hides, distance reveals wisdom that closeness conceals. By stepping back, you gain the clarity to step forward with greater strength. Many fear distance because they fear loneliness. They cling to people, even harmful ones, to avoid the silence of being alone. But wisdom understands that solitude is not emptiness, it is strength. When you distance yourself from the wrong people, you create space for self-discovery. You hear your own voice more clearly, without interference from others' opinions. This inner connection is the foundation of wisdom. The fear of loneliness traps many in false friendships, but distance reveals that solitude is not your enemy. It is your teacher. By embracing distance, you learn that peace within yourself is more valuable than noise around you. You no longer depend on others for validation because your sense of worth comes from within. In this way, distance not only removes negativity, but also builds independence, resilience, and inner peace. Distance is a boundary, and boundaries are essential for a healthy spirit. Without boundaries, others will shape your life according to their needs rather than your truth. Wisdom teaches that not everyone should be allowed close to your heart. Some people belong at the edge of your life, not at its center. By placing distance, you decide where each person belongs. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. You are not rejecting people, you are respecting yourself. Boundaries show self-love, and distance is one of the strongest boundaries you can set. When you distance yourself from dishonesty, manipulation, or negativity, you send a message. My spirit is sacred, and I will not let it be harmed. This simple act transforms your relationships, because only those who honor your boundaries will remain, and those who cannot respect them reveal themselves unworthy of your closeness. Distance also restores energy. Human connections are exchanges of energy. Some give, others take. Fake friends often take without giving back, leaving you exhausted and empty. If you allow this cycle to continue, you slowly lose your strength and clarity. But when you create distance, you break the cycle. You stop the constant drain and give yourself time to recover. With distance, you redirect energy back into yourself, into your growth, your goals, and your inner peace. This is why wisdom values distance. It is not about isolating forever, but about restoring balance. When you feel drained, distance gives you the breath you need. It is like stepping out of a storm to find shelter, so that when you return, you are stronger, calmer, and wiser. Protecting your spirit requires knowing when to retreat and when to re-engage, and distance gives you the strength to choose wisely. Distance is often misunderstood as weakness, but it is actually mastery over the self. It takes more strength to walk away peacefully than to remain in chaos out of fear or attachment. People may accuse you of being cold, distant, or proud when you step back. But wisdom does not seek approval, it seeks truth. You do not owe closeness to anyone who disrespects your spirit. By distancing yourself, you reclaim authority over your life. You decide who enters and who stays outside. This is power, the power of choice. Many live as prisoners of others' expectations, afraid to set boundaries, afraid to step back. But wisdom reminds us the cage is open, and freedom lies in distance. When you choose distance, you are not rejecting others, you are choosing yourself. And in choosing yourself, you find the strength to live in peace, free from unnecessary burdens. Distance also strengthens genuine relationships. When you step back, you give space for others to show their true commitment. Those who care will bridge the distance. Those who do not will fade away. This natural separation reveals who is truly aligned with you. It prevents you from wasting time chasing those who are not meant for your path. Genuine bonds grow stronger with respect for distance, because true connection does not fear space. In fact, it thrives on trust. Wisdom understands that distance does not break what is real, it only breaks what was never strong. By allowing space, you allow authenticity to reveal itself. This not only protects your spirit from falsehood, but also deepens your trust in those who remain. Thus, distance is not the end of connection. It is the refinement of connection, a fire that burns away the false and leaves only the true. In the end, distance is not about walls, it is about clarity. It teaches you where to give, where to stop, and where to let go. It frees you from unnecessary battles and false attachments. It allows your spirit to rest in peace, unburdened by the weight of pretense. Wisdom is not measured by how many people surround you, but by how much peace you carry within. And distance is one of the most powerful tools for protecting that peace. Remember, it is better to walk alone in truth than to be surrounded by many in falsehood. When you embrace distance as wisdom, you no longer fear separation, because you know that what is real will remain. Distance is not the absence of love, it is the presence of clarity. And in that clarity, you discover the strength, freedom, and serenity your spirit truly deserves. In a world full of masks, the most powerful thing you can be is yourself. Many people spend their lives pretending to be happier, stronger, or more confident than they are. They wear these masks because they fear rejection, thinking the world will only accept an image rather than their truth. But the paradox is this: only by being authentic can you find relationships and connections that are real. Authenticity acts like a magnet. It draws toward you those who resonate with your truth and repels those who cannot align with it. When you pretend, you may attract attention, but it will not last, for it is based on illusion. But when you live honestly, you build bonds that are unshakable, because they are built on truth. Protecting your spirit requires authenticity, for only in truth can you find people who truly belong in your life. Authenticity does not mean sharing everything with everyone. It means living in alignment with your values and not betraying yourself to please others. Many people fear being authentic because they believe it will cost them friends. And yes, it will, but only the false ones. Those who demand you to wear a mask in order to be accepted were never truly with you. Authenticity reveals this quickly. When you stop pretending, some people will leave. But do not mourn these losses. They are simply illusions dissolving. What remains are the people who love your truth, not your mask. And in their company, you will feel peace instead of pressure, freedom instead of fear. Authenticity clears away the noise of pretense and creates space for genuine souls to enter. In this way, authenticity is not only honesty with others, it is protection for yourself, ensuring that only the real can remain. The energy of authenticity is unmistakable. You can sense it in people who are grounded, present, and unapologetically themselves. Being around them feels refreshing because they carry no hidden agendas. Their presence allows you to relax, to drop your own masks, and to breathe more freely. This is the gift of authenticity. It not only attracts authenticity, but also awakens it in others. When you live authentically, you give silent permission for others to do the same. You show that it is safe to be real, safe to be imperfect, and safe to be human. Fake friends cannot exist in this atmosphere, for they thrive only where pretense lives. Authentic energy exposes inauthenticity, just as light exposes shadows. By being real, you naturally repel what is false without needing to fight. Authenticity is your shield, your filter, and your guide toward relationships that nourish rather than drain. Pretending may bring temporary acceptance, but it always costs you inner peace. Each time you betray yourself to fit in, a part of your spirit weakens. Over time, you may forget who you truly are beneath the masks. Authenticity restores this connection. It calls you back to yourself, reminding you that your worth is not in how many people approve of you, but in how fully you honor your truth. When you are authentic, you may stand alone at times, but you will never feel lost because you are aligned with yourself. And from this alignment, you will meet others walking the same path. Authenticity attracts authenticity, not through effort, but through resonance. It is a natural law, like energy draws like energy. And when you vibrate with truth, you will inevitably find those whose spirits also walk in truth. This is the power of authenticity. Authenticity also builds trust, the foundation of any real relationship. People may admire your talents, your beauty, or your achievements, but they trust your authenticity. Trust is born when your words and actions align, when your presence carries consistency. Fake friends cannot offer this, for their masks shift depending on convenience. But authenticity never wavers. It may be uncomfortable, but it is steady. And this steadiness is what draws real people toward you. When you are authentic, you attract those who are tired of games and hungry for truth. They see in you a reflection of their own longing to live honestly. In this way, authenticity not only protects your spirit, but also creates bonds of depth and loyalty. The friendships you build on authenticity do not collapse under pressure, because they are rooted in reality, not illusion. And what is real always endures. Authenticity requires courage, because truth is often uncomfortable. It means admitting your flaws, acknowledging your fears, and showing your vulnerability. Many hide behind masks because they believe strength means perfection. But true strength is honesty, the ability to stand as you are, without fear of being seen. And when you dare to show your real self, you attract others who value honesty over appearances. These people do not demand perfection from you, because they too walk the path of authenticity. Together, you create a space of freedom where masks are unnecessary, where love is unconditional, and where support is genuine. Fake friends cannot survive in such a space because their energy thrives on appearances. By living authentically, you naturally separate the genuine from the false, not by judgment but by resonance. Protecting your spirit means having the courage to be real, even when others are not. Authenticity also aligns you with your purpose. When you pretend, you live according to others' expectations, not your own truth. This leads to confusion, dissatisfaction, and disconnection. But when you live authentically, your actions align with your values, and your life gains clarity. This clarity attracts others who are also aligned with purpose. Such people may not always agree with you, but they will respect you because authenticity respects authenticity. In their presence, you feel empowered to grow because they do not ask you to shrink or pretend. Instead, they inspire you to become more of who you are. Protecting your spirit requires surrounding yourself with such people, those who honor your truth while living theirs. Authenticity attracts not only genuine friends, but also opportunities, paths, and experiences that align with your essence. It is the compass that guides you toward a life of meaning and peace. Many seek acceptance by trying to please everyone, but this path only leads to exhaustion. No matter how much you pretend, you cannot control others' perceptions. Some will misunderstand you, no matter what mask you wear. Authenticity frees you from this endless struggle. It teaches you to stop performing and to start living. And when you live authentically, you attract those who accept you as you are. They do not demand you to change for their comfort. Instead, they celebrate your uniqueness because they too honor their own. This creates a circle of authenticity, a space where truth is valued above appearances. Protecting your spirit means choosing authenticity over approval, knowing that the approval of the false is a prison, while the acceptance of the real is freedom. Authenticity attracts authenticity because truth recognizes truth, just as light recognizes light. Authenticity also brings peace to the heart. When you are authentic, you no longer fear exposure because there is nothing to hide. Your life becomes simple, free from the heavy burden of pretense, and this peace becomes magnetic. People are drawn to those who carry calmness, clarity, and confidence rooted in truth. They sense safety in your presence because authenticity carries no deception. Fake friends may attempt to enter, but they cannot remain, for authenticity reveals them quickly. In this way, authenticity is both protection and attraction. It guards you from falsehood while guiding you toward truth. Protecting your spirit means valuing peace over popularity, truth over pretense, and depth over surface approval. And when you choose authenticity, your life becomes lighter, your relationships deeper, and your spirit unshakable. In the end, authenticity is not only a way of living, it is a way of protecting your soul. It ensures that those who remain in your life are there for who you truly are, not for the mask you wear. Authenticity attracts authenticity because truth seeks its reflection. And when you live in truth, you draw toward you people who also value truth. These are the relationships that uplift, strengthen, and nourish your spirit. Everything false will eventually fall away, leaving only what is real. And in what is real, you will find peace, strength, and freedom. Remember this: authenticity may not attract the crowd, but it will attract the right ones. And in life, it is not the number of people who surround you that matters, but the truth of those who walk beside you. Be authentic, and you will never lack what is genuine. There is a great freedom in solitude that many people never discover because they fear being alone. Instead, they choose to surround themselves with shallow connections, pretending to belong to groups that do not truly accept them. But the truth is this: solitude is better than pretension. To sit in your own company with honesty is far greater than to sit among many while wearing a mask. Pretending may give temporary comfort, but it always takes away peace. Solitude, on the other hand, may feel uncomfortable at first, but it teaches you strength, clarity, and authenticity. When you embrace solitude, You discover that being alone does not mean being empty. It means being real. And when you are real, you no longer trade your truth for the illusion of companionship. Protecting your spirit means choosing solitude over falsehood, even if that choice feels difficult in the beginning. Pretension is heavy. It requires constant effort to maintain the image that others expect from you. You must watch every word, every gesture, every expression, fearing that your mask may slip. Over time, this effort exhausts your soul. Solitude, however, carries no such burden. In solitude, you are free to breathe, free to rest, and free to exist without performance. It is in solitude that you rediscover your true self, away from the noise of expectations. Many fear this silence because it reveals truths they have long ignored. But only in silence can healing begin. Pretending may keep others around you, but it distances you from yourself. Solitude may separate you from others, but it brings you closer to your own spirit. And in that closeness, you find peace that no external validation can provide. This is why solitude, though difficult, is always better than pretension. When you choose pretension, you attract others who are also pretending. This creates shallow bonds built on performance, not reality. Such friendships collapse when tested because they were never rooted in truth. But when you choose solitude, you preserve your authenticity. You refuse to sell your soul for the illusion of belonging. And in doing so, you make space for genuine connections to enter your life. Real people are drawn not to masks, but to honesty. They value your truth, not your performance. Solitude acts as a filter, removing the false and making room for the true. Many fear losing company by refusing to pretend, but in truth, you only lose what was never real, and what you gain, self-respect, clarity, and authentic bonds, is far greater than the comfort of shallow approval. Solitude is therefore not a loss, but a wise investment in truth and peace. Solitude also sharpens awareness. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, it becomes difficult to hear your inner voice. Pretension drowns it out even more because you are too focused on meeting external expectations. But solitude clears the noise. It gives you space to listen, not only to yourself, but also to life itself. You begin to notice what truly matters, what drains you, and what uplifts you. You learn to differentiate between genuine joy and forced smiles, between peace and pretense. This awareness protects your spirit because once you see clearly, you can no longer be fooled by false appearances. Pretension blinds, solitude enlightens. By choosing solitude, you step into clarity. And with clarity, you are able to walk with strength, making decisions that align with your truth rather than others' illusions. Solitude is not emptiness. It is the presence of awareness and the birth of wisdom. Pretension often comes from fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear of standing alone. People hide behind masks because they believe their true self will not be enough. But solitude teaches you that you are already enough. It shows you that your value does not depend on how many people surround you, but on how deeply you honor your truth. In solitude, you learn self-reliance. You stop needing approval to feel worthy, because you discover that your worth was never in others' hands. Pretending may gain you temporary acceptance, but solitude builds permanent strength. The moment you realize that you can stand alone with peace, you become unshakable. Pretension keeps you weak, dependent on others' opinions. Solitude makes you strong, grounded in your own spirit. This is why solitude is always greater than the hollow comfort of pretending to belong. Solitude is also a sanctuary for growth. Pretension keeps you stagnant because it locks you in a role that is not truly yours. You cannot grow when you are constantly performing for others' approval. But in solitude, you are free to explore, to reflect, to evolve without fear of judgment. It is in solitude that great ideas are born, that deep healing happens, and that transformation begins. Many of the world's wisest individuals found their strength in solitude, not in the crowd. This is because solitude allows you to face yourself fully, And once you face yourself, you can no longer be deceived by the illusions of others. Pretension keeps you stuck in a cycle of appearances. Solitude propels you toward authenticity. By choosing solitude, you choose growth over stagnation, truth over illusion, and wisdom over pretense. Protecting your spirit requires this sacred retreat into yourself. Solitude also reveals who truly belongs in your life. When you stop pretending, many people will leave. They were never there for your truth. They were only there for the mask. But those who remain are the ones who truly value you. Solitude tests relationships, stripping away the false and leaving only the real. Pretension may keep many around you, but they are drawn to the image, not the essence. Solitude may reduce the crowd, but it leaves you with genuine souls. And it is far better to walk with a few who are real than to walk with many who are false. In solitude, you realize that quality matters more than quantity, depth more than numbers, truth more than appearances. This understanding protects your spirit, for you no longer seek validation from the crowd. You find fulfillment in authenticity, even if it means walking a quieter path. Pretension is slavery, solitude is freedom. When you pretend, you become a prisoner of others' expectations. You are constantly adjusting, fearing disapproval, and sacrificing your truth to maintain appearances. This is not living, it is surviving. Solitude, however, liberates you. It frees you from the chains of performance and allows you to live in alignment with your own spirit. You may not have a crowd around you, but you will have peace within you. And that peace is priceless. Pretension may give you temporary company, but it steals your freedom. Solitude may test your courage, but it gives you independence. In solitude, you discover that freedom is not found in pleasing others, but in living truthfully. And when you taste this freedom, you realize it is far more valuable than the shallow comfort of pretending. Protecting your spirit requires choosing freedom over captivity, even if that freedom feels lonely at first. Solitude also deepens your relationship with life itself. Pretension keeps you distracted with shallow interactions, leaving little space for reflection or presence. But solitude slows you down. It allows you to notice the beauty in small things. The quiet of the morning, the rhythm of your breath, the wisdom hidden in silence. These simple moments nourish the soul in ways that pretension never can. Fake connections may fill your time, but they cannot fill your spirit. Solitude, though quiet, fills you deeply. It connects you to something larger than yourself, life, nature, truth. This connection cannot be found in the noise of pretense, only in the silence of authenticity. Protecting your spirit means making time for solitude, even when society pressures you to stay constantly connected. For it is in solitude that you find the deepest connection of all, the one between your soul and the essence of life. In the end, solitude is not your enemy, it is your greatest ally. Pretension may win you the crowd, but it will cost you your spirit. Solitude may reduce the crowd, but it will give you peace. And peace is far more valuable than popularity. When you choose solitude over pretension, you choose authenticity over illusion, strength over weakness, and freedom over slavery. Your spirit deserves this protection. Never fear walking alone, for solitude is not emptiness. It is fullness without noise. It is better to sit alone in truth than to sit surrounded by lies. Those who are meant for you will find you, not because of the mask you wear, but because of the truth you live. Solitude is better than pretension because it preserves your peace, honors your spirit, and opens the path to genuine connections. And in this truth, you will find freedom.